again, my little yarnivores and spiderettes and arachnids. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Now, I have been talking about this for a while. This is going to be a knitting lace along. Yes. So it's a little bit of a departure from the usual because there's no actual pattern involved. This is shall we say, an organic, random form of knitting lace, and I'm excited to try and do a lace along with you. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer, this is not going to be, planned, and also I'm probably not going to be doing the entire project with you because this is sort of like training wheels. This is to get you started on your way so that you will not need me behind you anymore and you can go and pedal and knit and work your way to completion. But I would like to do a couple of these videos so that you really get your feet wet and, as I've said before, not just understanding how to do the stitches, but why we do the stitches the way that we do the stitches. So, that being said, the yarn for this project today was provided by Lion Brand. Thank you very much, Lion Brand. And it is, of course, Pound of Love. I love this yarn. I've been using it for many years, and I thought this would be a good yarn for the project because there's tons of it in the skein. And so it's 16 ounces, over 1,000 yards. It is, well, they say it's a medium weight of 4. I would say, honestly, I would say it's more of a 3, but that's perfectly fine, especially for what we're going to be doing. Now, the recommended needle size is a size 8, and because we're doing lace, and I want it to be uber lacy, I want it to be like the eyelets to really pop, I am going to be using size 15 knitting needles, and these are circular knitting needles. It's the Takumi Clover brand. You can use straight needles because we're only going to be casting on 15, no, sorry, not 15, excuse me, these are size 15. We're going to be, pardon me, we're going to be casting on 30 stitches for our fairly wide scarf, okay? Piece that I did prior, I cast on 50 stitches for a wrap version of this. For the sake of the tutorial, I think that 50 stitches is perhaps a bit wide, but this is really more of a technique, and you can do really whatever it is that you want to do. Now, at any point, while we're doing the lace along, you can diverge from what I am showing you how to do, and you can go on your own direction at any point. That's perfectly fine. Also, another thing that I would strongly suggest, if you are unsure of yourself or the technique, or if you would like to err on the side of caution, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Trying new things can be scary, and I totally dig that. So what I would recommend, if you are unsure, that you use a lifeline technique, which I do have a video of, and I'm going to put that in the description box down below. Also, in the description box, I'm going to put down as well a more in-depth explanation of the various decreases that we're going to be using. As far as the eyelets, we're just going to be doing standard eyelets for this project. We're not going to be making them extra big or anything. It's going to be pretty straightforward in that regard. But like I said, the lifeline technique will be most helpful, especially if you make a mistake or if you're not happy with how it's turning out. You can always rip back to that lifeline, reinsert your needles, excuse me, I'm a little tongue-tied. You can reinsert your needles and you can start over from where you put in the lifeline. So that being said, we are gonna get started. Alrighty. By the way, just, another sort of point of note, you don't have to use this yarn and you don't have to use this size knitting needle. Really, you can use whatever, but if you want to duplicate what we're doing, you will be able to. I mean, I don't want to have any hard, fast rules. I just want to say what it is that I'm using if you want to do the same thing. So we're going to do a long tail cast on, starting with our slip knot. And like I said, we're going to be doing a total of 30 stitches for this piece. So I've got 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, and so forth. So it's just going to be a long tail cast on, very standard. I'm not doing anything schmancy. No, the schmancy is going to come into play when we do our actual lace work. And I am very excited to be doing a sort of a mini series on the technique because it's a lot of fun and you never quite know where you're going until you get there. And it's almost like a bit of a pastiche of lace. And, well, it's fun. Now, when I first started utilizing this technique, there were many, shall we say, failed attempts where I was just like, no, I don't like where this is going. And then I learned that it may not be what you expect, but see, expectations in general and in life, expectations usually, not always, but usually lead to some form of disappointment. So I think it's better to see where you're going, as you're going, where you're going. And I wouldn't say accept, I would say embrace what you create and be like, oh, that's pretty neat. I'm going to have to keep doing stuff like that. Or be like, oh, okay, I see where we went there. Maybe I can tweak it a little bit and, manipulate it thereafter. So, I mean, this is a very different sort of video. I'll be the first to admit it. All right, so how many do we have? We've got 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 and 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. All right. So first things first, going to do 1 knit row just to sort of, stabilize our base here, because just having the chain to start off with, for me, not enough. So we're going to do 1 knit row. All right, so for row 1, and for every odd numbered row, it's just going to be knit stitches. All right, and that to me is a bit of a blessing because it's sort of all right, why is my focus? There we go. With every other row just being a knit row, it's sort of like getting a break, quite frankly. And I think we all need a bit of a break. So, yes, every odd number row is just going to be knit stitches. Now, I'm doing this row on camera for now, but later on, all of the odd numbered rows are going to be off camera because, well, there's not much point in doing all of them on camera. Now, what you could quite conceivably do, as opposed to doing knit stitches, which I am currently doing, you could do this first row and every odd row with purl stitches. And then you would end up with something a little bit different. You would end up with the stockinette stitch, because on the opposite side, we are going to be using knit stitches and yarn overs and decreases. That is going to be our facing side, our right side. This right now is our wrong side. There's nothing really wrong about it, but if it's right and wrong, this is the wrong side. So word to the wise, if you are going to be doing purls for the odd numbered rows, and you do want the stockinette stitch as the look of your piece, keep in mind it will curl. Yes, it will undoubtedly curl on you, and I'm not a big fan of that, which is why I personally go for the garter stitch far more than the stockinette stitch. If you want to go for the stockinette, that's fine. What I would recommend is to do a border around your piece. Now, that would mean adding extra stitches. I would suggest personally adding perhaps another 10 stitches, and that would be 5 stitches on either side of your lace piece. So instead of 30 stitches, perhaps bump it up to 40 stitches total. Do a couple of rows of garter stitch, and then start in with your border. So you would say do knit 5 and then purl 30 and then knit 5. And you always begin and end with a knit 5 if that's the border dimensions that you choose. And with that border, your piece will not curl. But not everybody wants a border on their piece. So I'm just sort of throwing it out there as an idea if you want to do the stockinette stitch and not have it curl on you. There are other alternative methods, I am sure, but that is one that I have used in the past and it worked out just fine for me. So we are almost done with this first row, and then we will in fact finally get started on the actual eyelets, the actual lace. So that was row 1. Riveting, right? All right, onwards to row 2. Alrighty, row 2, it's the first row where we're going to start introducing eyelets. Now, because we don't have anything pre-existing, it really doesn't matter what decreases we do along with the eyelets, just as long as you add a decrease for every increase. So I'm going to work a little bit away from the edge here. So I'm going to say knit, I don't know, maybe 5 stitches. So we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Sort of an arbitrary number, why not? So I knit 5. Now I'm going to yarn over. And I'm going to do what is known as a left leaning decrease. So I'm going to slip the first one. Sorry. So slip and then knit the next. And then pass the slip stitch over the needle and off. So we did an increase with our yarn over and then a decrease right next to it. So let's do some more stitches. So I did my yarn over. Now, technically speaking, okay, we have our yarn over and then this counts as a stitch. So say I wanted a total of 5 stitches in between eyelets. Well, then I would just do 4 more because this counts as 1 from a visual standpoint. Yes, it's a decrease, but it's also a stitch. So I'm thinking, actually, let's do a total of 3. So that counts as 1. And then let's do 2 more. Actually, wait a minute. No, I have an idea. See, I told you this was not going to be the usual. I want a total of 4. So need one more because we have our eyelet right there. So I want one more. And then I'm going to do another eyelet. So yarn over, and then slip, and knit, and pass. So we have one eyelet, and then 4 stitches, and then another eyelet. Now there is a reason why I'm doing that, believe it or not. Okay, so we have 1 stitch. Let's do, I don't know, total of 6 maybe. So that counts as 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I got the eyelet, and then a total of 6, because that decrease counts as the first one. Let's do another eyelet. Yarn over, slip, and knit, and pass. Okay, so we've got 1. All right, and we're approaching the end. So let's see. How about we get a little crazy? Let's do 2 more knit stitches. So we have, after the eyelet, a total of 3. And then we'll do another eyelet. So yarn over, slip, knit, and pass. All right, so I've got my yarn over, and then I've got 1. All right, now I'm thinking, let's see. This is a good opportunity, because after our yarn over, we've got 1, and then we've got 3 more, and then we've got 4 more. So I could technically do a nice gap right here. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to knit the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then going to do another yarn over and decrease by doing a slip, knit, and pass. All right, and since we're pretty much close to the edge, we're just going to knit these last 2 stitches. And there you go. So that is row 2. And just to be thorough, yes, I'm going to do row 3 on camera so that you can see what it is that I'm doing, and which we will be doing for the rest of the piece. Alrighty. All right, so row 3, just like every odd numbered row, it's just going to be knit stitches, but I just want to show you how easy it is, just so that I can be thorough. See, this right here is a yarn over that we did. We're just going to knit it just like any other stitch. It's not a big deal, but I would rather be thorough than leave you guys hanging and wondering, what am I doing? So just going to knit across this row, and you'll see just how easy it is. And because we're not doing alterations on our eyelets, we're going to do this nice and easy. See, that's one of our eyelets, so just go right in and knit the stitch and hop right into the next, and so on and so forth. Now, I personally am not going to be using a lifeline method for this piece. And the reason why, I mean, you can if you want to, but I'm not going to, because when I did that previous project, it was a wrap. And every now and then, believe it or not, there would be rows where I ended up with more or less stitches than what I had originally started off with. And then to compensate, the next row, I would just, if I had too many stitches, I would just add an extra decrease. And it really did not, it wasn't noticeable, considering that the piece is organic and random and lacy and busy. You really didn't notice it. So I didn't feel like it was necessary to undo my work and frog and rip back those stitches. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. Now, the reason why I'm okay with it, it's because, for instance, say you're trying to do a portrait of a supermodel. If there's anything amiss, you'll notice. However, if you're doing a portrait of, say, Ernest Hemingway, which I've done once before in charcoal, it's a lot more forgiving because there's so much information to take in. All the whiskers and the wrinkles and so on and so forth. I mean, if anything is quote unquote amiss, the eye is not going to see it. So this technique lends itself to, as Bob Ross would say, well, happy accidents. It's okay. You don't have to have it perfect, because this is not about perfection. It's about creativity and having fun. And that's what I'm trying to impart to all of you. Now, I already did count, and yes, this should be a total of 30 stitches. And so we're still on track. But if you accidentally add one or subtract one, that's okay. Especially for this particular project, that's okay. For now, I'd like to stick to the 30 as closely as I can, but we're going to muddle through together. All right, so that is row 3, an odd numbered row. So it's just all knit stitches. Not a big deal whatsoever, but I did want to do that on camera for you guys. Now, as you can see, we have an eyelet there, and there, and there, and 2 more. Indeed. All right, so we shall continue on with row 4. Alrighty, row 4. Okay, so we did our initial eyelets for the first row, if you will. Now we're going to jump right in, and we're going to have this eyelet become 2 eyelets, which means we need an eyelet on this side and an eyelet on this side, which means we need a decrease and a decrease. So I'm going to knit the first 3 stitches and then do a decrease, which will be a right-leaning decrease. Now, you can, of course, refer back to my previous video to familiarize yourself a little bit better if needs be. That's fine. Me, I'm just going to hop right in. So we've got our first 3 stitches down. And because we have our eyelet right here, I'm going to decrease these 2. I'm going to knit these 2 together. And initially it can be a little bit tricky, but there we go. So I'm going to knit these 2 together. And then yarn over and knit this stitch. yarn over again, and then do a slip knit pass. So slip and knit and pass the slip stitch over. Boom. So now we went from having one eyelet to two eyelets. This is an eyelet right here, and so is this one right here. So we went from 1 to 2, yet we're still maintaining our stitch count. Now, let's see what to do from here. Okay, I think let's have this eyelet travel to the left. So knit 3, 1, 2, and knit the eyelet stitch. 3. All right. And then yarn over and slip, knit, pass. So you can see that we had our eyelet down here and it's traveling to the left. Okay, you know what? I gotta roll my sleeves up here. They're getting in the way. There we go. All right, so next up, where is our next eyelet? Okay, it's right over there. So you know what? Let's have this one, this eyelet, lean to the right. So let's knit 2 stitches and then do a decrease. So knit and knit, and then knit 2 together and then a yarn over. Knit 2 together, yarn over. Okay. Next eyelet is right here. Let's do another double over here. So going to need to knit these 2, then knit these 2 together, and then yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip knit pass. Okay, gonna go slow. All right, so I need to knit the next 2. One and 2. Knit 2 together. Yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip, knit, and pass. There we go. Okay, and we've got one more yarn over left over. So you know what? Let's sort of nip that little guy in the bud. Let's knit 3, yarn over, and do a slip knit pass. So we're going to have the eyelet going to the left. So knit 3. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, slip, knit, pass, and then knit the last one. All right, so for row 5, just turn your work, knit all the way across, and I will meet back up with you for row 6. Okay. Alrighty, so row 6, we're moving right along, footloose and fancy free. All right, so last row, row 5, we did the knit stitches, but the last eyelet row, we incorporated 2 new eyelets. So what I want to do is I want to have this one going to the right, and I think this one going to the left. So for this one, I'm going to knit these 2 first ones, and then knit these 2 together and do a new fresh eyelet. So that being said, let's knit these first 2 off. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right. And then so we need to knit the next 2 together so that our eyelet is going to move to the right. So there we go. Knit these 2 together. And then yarn over. Now, yes, I do want this eyelet stitch to move to the left. So I'm going to knit 3, then yarn over, and then do my slip, knit, pass. Okay, so knit 3. One, 2, and 3. And my sleeves came down again, so they go back up. Sorry. All right, so I knit my 3. Now going to yarn over, then slip, and knit, and pass. Shaboom. All right. So where is our next eyelet? Okay, the next one is over here. So, you know what? Let's have this one continue going to the left. So knit 3. One, and 2, and 3. Yarn over, slip, and knit, and pass. Okay. And this eyelet, I want to keep going to the right. So knit these 2 together, then do our yarn over. Okay, so knit these 2 together. Yarn over. Alrighty. And where's our next eyelet? Okay, so we've got 2 over here. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing as far as this one going to the right and this one going to the left, for now anyway. So going to knit these 2 stitches, then knit these 2 together. So knit and knit, and then going to knit these next 2 together. Eventually. There we go. So knit these 2 together, then yarn over, and then knit the next 3, because we need to knit this one, then we'll do the yarn over so it can go to the left. So knit 3, 1, 2 and 3. Yarn over, slip, knit, pass. Okay, almost to the end. So we have over here, let's see. You know what? We could have this one go pretty much off the edge because I can do knitting these 3, then do a yarn over, and then decrease this down to just 1 stitch on the edge. I could do that. All right, so let's knit these next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, slip, and knit, and then go back in and pass that slip stitch over and off. Shaboom. All right, so that's the end of row 6. So for row 7, just knit all the way across, and I'll meet back up with you for row 8. Alrighty, so for row 8, we're going to hop right in. And again, I want my eyelet over here to continue to the right. So I'm going to knit 1, then knit 2 together. So you can kind of see where this is going. So knit 1, and then knit these 2 together. I wish this were simpler, but yeah, knitting 2 together, it's not my favorite. Honestly, I prefer doing the slip knit pass, but we do what we got to do. So knitting those 2 together, then yarn over. All right, so now we have, I want to have this eyelet continue. However, I'm thinking that I might, perhaps not this row, but maybe the next row, do an eyelet in the center, is what I'm thinking. So let's continue on. I'm going to knit these 5, then do my yarn over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now this is, of course, this is my personal style. You can, like I said, at any point go in your own direction. That's totally fine. But just keep in mind that you wouldn't necessarily be able to follow along exactly with what I'm doing. So to each their own. So I knit my 5. Now yarn over. And then do a slip knit pass. So slip. And a knit. And a pass. Like so. All right, and our next is right here. That's our next eyelet. And then we've got another one over there. So now here's the deal, okay? We have eyelets going to the left, we have eyelets going to the right, and we've got 2 in the middle, which means I can do a decrease. Now, where do I want to do the decrease? That is the question. I'm thinking I'm going to do the decrease going to the right because we have this V growing. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So here's what I'm going to do. I know it's like there's a lot of formulation, if you will. So I'm going to knit these 3, and then I'm going to knit these 2 together and do a yarn over so it continues to go to the right. The one that's going to the left is going to be cut short, if you will. So let's knit 3. 1, 2, and 3, and then knit these next two together. Like so. And yarn over. Okay. And then I want this one to continue also to the right. So knit 2, then knit 2 together. Knit 1 and 2. All right, so knit these two together. There we go. And yarn over. All right, now I think this one we will do an eyelet right here. Okay, we will continue what I was thinking before, but we'll do it on this diamond as opposed to the one before. So in order to do that, going to knit these two, then yarn over and do a decrease here with a slip knit pass. So that being said, knit these two, yarn over, slip, knit, and pass. I'm going to knit this eyelet one, so knit it, and then create another eyelet going to the left. So knit that one, and then yarn over, slip, and knit, and pass. All right. And then I think we're just going to knit our way over the last 4. Make it nice and simple. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's the end of row 8. Again, row 9, just knit your way across, and I'll meet back up with you for row 10. All right. All right, row 10. All right, so again, yep, I want to continue with this eyelet going to the right. So going to knit those first 2 together. Like so. There we go. And then yarn over. All right, now what I was talking about before with the middle stitch. All right, so that would be this one right here, because we've got 1, 2, the eyelets the third, 1, 2, eyelets the third. All right, so this one right here. Okay, so that being said, going to knit the first 3, then do my yarn over and my decrease to the left. So let's do that. That's 1, 2, and 3. Oops, sorry. was fixing my sleeves. Sorry, I know it sounds probably redundant by now, but I keep doing that. All right, so yarn over, and then do our decrease to the left. So that's slip one, knit one, and pass one. All right. So then let's see. Yeah, let's continue this eyelet going to the left still. So knit two and then yarn over. Knit one, knit two, yarn over, slip knit pass. So that's slip, knit, and pass. Excuse me. All right. Now, over here, we have options. I'm thinking, let's make this one into a double. So, gonna have to knit this one, knit these two together, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, slip, knit, pass. We can do this. All right, so first, gotta knit this one. Knit the next two together. Yarn over. Knit one. Yarn over. Slip. Knit. And pass. There we go. All right, so what do we got going on over here? Okay, now let's see. Okay, here's what we can do. We can make this eyelet right now go to the left. Okay, so knit two, then yarn over, slip, knit, pass. So knit one and two, yarn over, slip, knit, pass, and let's see. Okay, then we're going to make this one, this eyelet, travel to the right. So knit this one, and then knit these two together, and then do a yarn over. Okay. So knit one, then knit two together. Yarn over. Okay. Now, what I'm thinking actually is let's actually have this one be a double too. So I know this is sort of on the fly. Let's knit this one. Then yarn over, slip, knit, and pass. Okay, and then knit the last 3 stitches. See, sometimes you make decisions on the fly, and this technique is no exception. So let's see how that translates. Let me see here. Okay, so this one is going to be branching out in both directions. And then we have this eyelet, which is going to be closed. And then this eyelet is going to the left. And let's see. Kind of hard to see, but yes. And then we have got a double over here. Yeah, so we got some laciness going on. All right, so for row 11, I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll be right back. Alrighty. Alrighty, so after knitting 11 rows, we already have some interesting stuff going on here. And now some of you may think, oh, well, but it's not symmetrical because we have this bunch of eyelets over here, but not over here, and this is not entirely centered. And so we have an eyelet here that can do a bunch of things, but this one's going to be closed off. Well, that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be sort of an organic expression of what we can do with the techniques at hand. Now, this may very well not be your style, but if it is, let's keep going. So in the next video, we shall continue where we're leaving off here, and we're going to see just how far we can go with this and, make it crazy lacy and, just go all sorts of different places. I'm excited, and I hope you guys are too, because I'm enjoying this. So if you are, give a little thumbs up button down below. Show your support, because I appreciate your appreciation as always. And, let me know what you guys think, Also, let me know what yarn you're using, what size needles you are using. If you're using ones that are different than I am, let me know. Yeah, so with that being said, going to put some links in the description box down below to my previous videos on doing Lace 101, on how to do the lifeline technique. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this part of this series, and I definitely plan on doing another one. So with that being said, I want all of you to, stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.